Chapter 1428 was an alchemical furnace. D. Linhan frowned slightly. What kind of medicine was this little lass trying to sell? She was usually quite clever, but why was she so stupid today? Who cares what Setusher says, just ignore him. The first place was real. If you were to win, that would naturally be very good, but if you were to lose, you would be blamed by many people. Many people had the same thoughts as Di Linhan. This Yunchujio was really smart and muddle-headed. Could it be that her brain had cramped just now? At that moment, everyone heard Yunchujio say with a smile, "Soul cleansing pill? I've never refined a soul cleansing pill before." The people from the Tianyuan continent almost fainted. It's over. It's over. This bet is lost for sure. Yunchujio, Yunchujio, you said that you didn't want the first place, but you had to play tricks. Now, not only did you lose the first place, but you also gained the reputation of cheating. You are really seeking death by playing tricks. Tushi's heart was delighted. He said loudly, "In that case, host, please announce again. The first place in the alchemy competition is Feng Ao. Our Nether Academy won this round, and we don't need to compete with the remaining talismans and beast taming. In the first stage, our Nether Academy won 3-0. The host hesitated for a moment and was about to make the announcement when he heard Yunchujio say, "Setusher, I say that you are already so old. How can your comprehension be so poor? Did I say that I admit defeat?" Setusher snorted coldly. "Didn't you say that you have never refined the soul cleansing pill? If that's the case, then what is it if you don't admit defeat?" Yunchujio spread her hands. "I have never refined it, but that doesn't mean that I haven't succeeded. How would I know if I don't try? Host, please help me prepare the herbs I need. Isn't it just the soul cleansing pill? It's a piece of cake." The host asked someone to prepare the herbs needed for the soul cleansing pill and place them on Yunchujio's workbench. Then, just as she was about to announce the start, Yunchujio spoke again. "Host, please wait a moment. I suggest that Setusher personally come up and check my alchemy furnace and these spirit herbs. Also, it's best if he stands beside me and watches me refine, lest he says that I cheated again. Some people are very shameless. They are afraid of losing face and would accuse others of cheating. Alright, it would be best if the 10 judges also watched me. This would prevent Setusher from framing me." Although Setusher was gnashing his teeth with hatred, he felt that this was not a bad idea. He stood by the side and watched to prevent Yunchujio from making any small moves. The 10 judges were all alchemists. They were originally very curious about Yunchujio being able to refine a supreme-grade medicinal pill, so they were very willing to supervise from the side. Setusher looked at Yunchujio's pill furnace a few times, but he didn't find anything strange. Yunchujio said with a smile, "Setusher, if you're really worried, why don't you give me a pill furnace? I'll use the pill furnace you gave me to refine it. That way you'll be at ease." Setusher really did have an empty pill furnace in his storage ring. After thinking about it, even though giving it to Yunchujio was a bit of a waste, he was at least more at ease. Thus, he took out the alchemy furnace. "Since that's the case, you can use this old man's alchemy furnace." Yunchujio took it and looked at it. She was amused. "It's a high-grade alchemy furnace. And it's bigger than mine. If this shabu hotpot is much more satisfying than mine." Everyone. Setusher felt for a moment that this stinky girl wasn't trying to scam me with an alchemy furnace, right? Chapter 1429. Face the medicinal herbs. "Yunchujio, can you start refining now?" Setusher said impatiently. Yunchujio fiddled with the newly obtained alchemy furnace in satisfaction and said carelessly, "Yes, the host will count the time." Everyone realized that after the host announced the start of the refining, Yunchujio did not start refining immediately. Instead, she held the medicinal herbs and looked at them slowly. She had no intention of refining at all. The crowd could not help but discuss among themselves, "What is Yunchujio doing there? Why isn't she refining pills? Didn't she say that? She has never refined a soul-cleansing pill before. I think she is just stalling for time. She has already given up." Sigh. "Do you think she is seeking death by playing tricks? She was originally in first place, yet she had to make a bet with Setusher. I think she is already regretting it to death. Si Tushar looked at Yun Chujio, who was dawdling, and felt extremely proud. This wretched girl definitely didn't know how to refine the soul-cleansing pill. That was why she was pretending to fiddle with the medicinal herbs. No matter how crafty you were, I would make you reveal your true form. One of the judges couldn't stand it anymore and said to Yun Chujio, "Yun Chujio, it's already been almost 15 minutes. Why aren't you refining it? What are you doing?" Yun Chujio said seriously, "I'm giving the herbs a face. Let me see which one is better. Only good herbs can make good pills. I'm not in a hurry to cut the vegetables." The judge was so angry that he almost fainted. He had never heard of it. Giving the herbs a face? Are you crazy? Those judges were now very sure that Yun Chujio didn't know how to refine the soul-cleansing pill. They couldn't help but shake their heads. This little girl was still too inexperienced. She shouldn't have agreed to Si Tushi's bet. She was simply asking for trouble. Just when everyone thought that Yun Chujio was just wasting her time, they saw Yun Chujio turn on the earth fire and place the alchemy furnace on top to warm it up. Everyone was shocked. Could it be that she did not give up? When the 10 judges saw that Yun Chujio took the same amount of spirit herbs and the pill formula, they were slightly shocked. It seemed that this little girl knew the pill formula of the soul-cleansing pill, but they did not know if she could successfully refine it. This time, Yun Chujio did not open the lid to refine it. Instead, she placed the herbs in order, closed the lid of the alchemy furnace, and began to control the temperature. The people of the Tianyuan continent had some anticipation in their hearts. From the looks of it, it seemed a little interesting. Perhaps Yun Chujio would really be able to refine the soul-cleansing pill? Their good mood did not last long because they saw Yun Chujio lift the lid of the alchemy furnace. Then, she picked up a yellow thistle and threw it into the alchemy furnace. After a while, she picked up another qi lung and threw it in. Everyone was so anxious that they wanted to go up and beat Yun Chujio up. "You originally put the right proportion. Why did you add herbs into it again? Aren't you overdoing it? This is really infuriating." Initially, Si Tushar was a little flustered when he saw Yun Chujio refining it properly, but now that he saw Yun Chujio courting death, he was finally relieved. The judges felt sorry for Yun Chujio. Originally, this alchemy furnace might have succeeded, but with her mischief, it probably would not have succeeded. This little girl was really ridiculous. Only the oldest judge had a thought. This little girl had also added a few medicinal herbs into the bone-healing pill when she was refining it previously. Could it be that this was the secret to her being able to refine a super-grade medicinal pill? Chapter 1430 The biggest shadow of your life. Yun Chujio's alchemy furnace began to emit a medicinal fragrance. Si Tushar was a little flustered. This medicinal fragrance was quite strong. Could it be that the smelly girl was really going to succeed in refining it? He had to think of a way to distract her. The most taboo thing in refining pills was to be distracted. Once she was distracted, the alchemy furnace would be ruined. Hence, Si Tushar snorted coldly. "Yun Chujio, I've never seen anyone add medicinal herbs in the middle of alchemy. Your alchemy furnace will definitely be ruined." The 10 judges frowned slightly. Si Tushar, as the dignified dean of the Nether Academy, actually used such a small trick. It was really too despicable. He was planning to distract Yun Chujio's attention, hoping that the little girl would not fall for it. Unexpectedly, Yun Chujio said with a smile, "Si Tushar, are you planning to distract my attention? Tsk, you are really shameless to actually use such a low-class trick." The crowd below the stage instantly exploded. Even the people of the Netherworld continent felt that Si Tushi's actions were somewhat improper. This was too beneath his dignity. Vice Palace Master Lu frowned. "Idiot. Even if you wanted to distract the smelly girl's attention, you should have used some obscure methods. If you did it so brazenly, wouldn't that leave a trail of gossip?" Si Tushar also felt a little regretful in his heart. The reason why he was so anxious was because he couldn't imagine the consequences he would have to bear if Yun Chujio really succeeded in refining it. 100 million high-grade spirit stones was easy to deal with, but the main reason was to apologize in public. It really took his old life. Yun Chujio curled her lips. Playing mind games with me? I'll play you to death. My spirit recognition said that even if I were to argue with you, it wouldn't stop me from refining pills. After a quarter of an hour, Yun Chujio turned off the earth fire and said with a smile, "Host, I've finished refining it." The elderly judge smelled the medicinal fragrance on the stage and said anxiously, "Yun Chujio, open the lid of the alchemy furnace." Yun Chujio smiled at Si Tusher. "Si Tusher, Dean Si Tusher, what's going to happen next might be the biggest shadow in your life. Do you have any first aid pills on you? Don't choke to death in a moment." Si Tusher was so angry that he gritted his teeth. "Scaremongering. Stop wasting time. Hurry up and open the lid of the alchemy furnace." Although Si Tusher was a little flustered, he felt that even if Yun Chujio could successfully refine it, there might not be any transcendent-grade pills. After all, transcendent-grade pills were very hard to come by. Ding ding ding, everyone has their eyes on it. Little Gio's product is guaranteed to be of high quality. Yun Chujio opened the lid of the alchemy furnace. Si Tusher stood at the very front. When he saw the situation inside, he felt his mind go blank. Cold sweat dripped down from his forehead. Impossible. This is impossible. I must have seen wrongly. Si Tusher closed his eyes and opened them again. He looked inside the alchemy furnace once again. There were 10 round pills at the bottom of the alchemy furnace. 5 of them had rings of pill patterns on them. Could it be? Could it be that Yun Chujio had really refined another 5 supreme-grade soul-cleansing pills? Si Tusher forced himself to ask the 10 judges, "You guys, quickly check it out. Is she refining a soul-cleansing pill? Is it another pill?" The 10 judges looked at Si Tusher sympathetically. What he said was simply nonsense. Of course, the soul-cleansing pill refined by those herbs could not be another pill. Chapter 1431, Your sincerity is not enough. The elderly judge took out a pill and smelled it. He said with certainty, "This is the soul-cleansing pill, and it's a supreme-grade soul-cleansing pill." Si Tusher was a little unsteady. It was over. He had lost the bet. Not only did he have to admit his mistake to Yun Chujio in public, but he also had to compensate her with 100 million upper-grade spirit stones. Spirit stones were easy to deal with, but apologizing to her in public was really too embarrassing. Yun Chujio said with a smile, "Host, please announce the results. I believe everyone is waiting anxiously." When the audience saw the performance of Yun Chujio and Si Tusher, they already knew the general results. Could it be that Yun Chujio not only successfully refined the soul-cleansing pill, but also refined a superior-grade soul-cleansing pill? After the host communicated with the 10 judges, he said loudly, "The success rate of the soul-cleansing pill that Yun Chujio refined is 100%. There are 5 supergrade and supergrade pills, and 5 high-grade pills. Yun Chujio is the winner of the bet." The crowd immediately exploded. Although they had some vague guesses just now, they were still not quite sure. Now that they heard the host's words, they immediately started to discuss. No wonder Yun Chujio dared to agree to Si Tushi's bet. It seems that she is confident. Yeah, the so-called the strong are bold. A genius is indeed a genius. The first time is a coincidence, and the second time is strength. I have to say, Yun Chujio won this bet too beautifully. This time, that old guy Si Tusher definitely has nothing to say. He even said that our Yun Chujio cheated? He is just plain jealous. Although Dean Huangfu tried his best to endure, his mouth was almost unable to close. Yun Chujio did well. It was really too satisfying. That old fellow, Si Tusher, had lost a lot of face this time. At this moment, Yun Chujio, who was on the stage, waved her hand at everyone to signal for them to be quiet. Everyone quieted down. Yun Chujio sighed. "Sigh, it's almost noon. I'm a little hungry, so I didn't perform well." The corners of everyone's eyes twitched violently. "Forget it. You still didn't perform well? Do you still want us mortals to live? Si Tusher, Principal Si Tusher, I won this bet. Shouldn't you fulfill your promise? I'm in a hurry to go down for lunch, so don't dawdle." Si Tushi's old face was flushed red. He wanted to cheat, but he had already sworn in his heart demon oath. Moreover, under the watchful eyes of everyone, it really didn't make sense to cheat. After Si Tushar passed the spirit stone to Yun Chujio, he gritted his teeth and squeezed out 3 words. "I'm sorry." Yun Chujio pouted, "You can't say that. Let's do it again." "Don't push your luck. I've already apologized, what more do you want?" Si Tushar wished he could find a hole to hide in. This was the darkest day of his life, and he had never been so humiliated. Yun Chujio said with a smile, "Si Tushar, when you said that I cheated just now, you were very long-winded. Why are you so stingy when you apologize? Moreover, your voice is too soft, isn't it? The people behind can't hear you. Say it again, or else, be careful of being struck by lightning." The people from the Tian Yuan continent also started to jeer. "That's right. None of us heard it. What's the use of just saying sorry? If you say that you wronged Yun Chujio, then you have to say that you are petty and jealous. Yun Chujio didn't cheat. That's right, there's no sincerity in apologizing at all. Don't tell me that the Netherworld continent is such a dishonest person." Chapter 1432. The domineering Yun Chujio. Si Tushar stared at Yun Chujio maliciously, wishing that he could slap her to death. He gritted his teeth and said, "Yun Chujio, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have wronged you. You didn't cheat. That should be enough, right? All right, I've always been a magnanimous person. Since you've apologized to me so sincerely, then this matter can be considered as settled. Principal Situ, don't take it to heart either. If you know your mistakes, you will be able to change them, and it will be the best thing for you to do. Put down the butcher's knife and become a Buddha on the spot. As long as you learn more from me, you can still be saved." Si Tushi's head was buzzing from Yun Chujio's anger. He gave Yun Chujio a few vicious looks before jumping off the stage and staggering back to his seat. Vice Palace Master Liu's face was gloomy. He glared at Si Tushar with displeasure. It was really embarrassing to be fooled by a little girl. Yun Chujio saw Si Tushar leaving and she bowed to the 10 judges and the host. Then, she gave 5 supreme-grade soul-cleansing pills and 5 supreme-grade bone-healing pills to the 10 judges. Then, she gave the remaining 10 high-grade pills to the host. "Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your hard work. This is just a small token of appreciation. Please keep it as a souvenir," Yun Chujio said as she hopped off the stage. The 10 judges and the MC were stunned and moved. They had not expected Yun Chujio to do such a thing. Regardless of the value of the pills, this respect and sincerity was very touching. Di Linhan now found Yun Chujio pleasing to the eye. He could not help but exclaim in his heart, "My son has inherited this from me. His taste in choosing a wife is really good." Little Gio not only has heaven-defying talent, and although she is usually a little out of the ordinary in the way she conducts herself, but she is still quite clever when it comes to handling some crucial matters. This is much better than Bei Ming, with her assisting Bei Ming in the future. I can also feel more at ease. Di Linhan had completely forgotten how he had despised Yun Chujio back then. Moreover, 2 hours ago, he had thought that Yun Chujio had only won the competition because she had cheated. Xue Li's eyes flashed with admiration. This little girl was indeed not bad, but that silly kid Wuji probably did not have such luck. The moment Yun Chujio stepped off the competition stage, she naturally received the cheers of everyone in the Tian Yuan continent. This fellow pretended to be humble and said a few words before jumping beside Dean Huangfu and said with a smile, "Dean, fortunately I did not fail you." Just a few words. Dean Huangfu felt his nose ache. He thought to himself, "What's wrong with me? Could it be that I'm old? Why am I so touched? Very good." Dean Huangfu said these 3 words with a slight sob. Yun Chujio giggled. "Dean, this is only the beginning. Don't worry. Next, their Nether Academy will not obtain another victory. The first place will be ours." Dean Huangfu's eyes turned red from Yun Chujio's words. He did not know why, but he knew that this was the little girl's return to him. It was a return for his kindness, and it was also a return for his care. At this moment, Dean Huangfu believed that Yun Chujio could really do it. This was because he could see the confidence and dominance in Yun Chujio's eyes as she looked down at the world. Well, Dean, I'm starving. I'm going to eat something first. Call me when the talisman competition starts. Dean Huangfu felt that the domineering image that Yun Chujio had painstakingly built up in his heart was gone with a puff. She was still that cheeky foodie. Chapter 1433. Again, as it was already noon, the host announced that he would rest for 2 hours before continuing with the talisman competition. Compared to the happy and harmonious atmosphere on the Tianyuan continent, the atmosphere on the Netherworld continent was much gloomier. The main reason was that Si Tushar had lost face, so his mood was naturally very bad. Other people cared about his mood. He didn't even dare to speak loudly. Si Tushi's face was gloomy as he gathered the 10 students who had participated in the talisman and beast taming competition in the afternoon. You must give your all in the afternoon's competition. If anyone can obtain first place, we will focus on grooming him in the Netherworld Academy in the future. Do you understand? The 10 students nodded their heads in agreement. Only then did Si Tushar let them go back to prepare. Si Tushar glared viciously at the direction of Tianyuan Academy. Humph, the current score was 2-1. They still had the initiative. As long as they won the talisman competition, the final victor would still be their Netherworld Academy. Furthermore, they had prepared everything for the talisman competition. Yun Chujio took out the pill furnace that Si Tushar had gifted her. She used clean water to brush it before starting to eat the hot pot. Everyone looked at Yun Chujio, who was eating happily with a dumbfounded look on their faces. Damn, so what that student from the Huang class said was true. This guy really used the alchemy furnace as a hot pot. Some alchemists even thought that Yun Chujio was able to refine superior-grade pills because she used the alchemy furnace as a hot pot? Why don't they try it in the future? After eating and drinking her fill, Yun Chujio began to think about the upcoming talisman competition. If it was just a regular talisman competition, she was naturally not afraid. She was only afraid that there would be some tricks in it. When the time came, she would have to be more vigilant. Dean Huangfu asked a student with slightly lower results to give the slot to Yun Chujio, and that student agreed readily. He was originally not confident, so he gave the slot to Yun Chujio eagerly. Soon, 2 hours had passed, and the participants of the talisman competition stepped onto the stage. When the crowd saw Yun Chujio step onto the stage again, they immediately exploded. In the Tianyuan continent, very few people could practice 2 types of Cultivator's 5 techniques at the same time, not to mention Yun Chujio had already shown her excellent talent in alchemy in the morning. Could it be that Yun Chujio got carried away by the victory? Why did she go up again? Who knows? I don't know what Dean Huangfu is thinking. Does he really think that Yun Chujio is his life-saving straw? Exactly. Isn't this a waste of a slot? Si Tushar found that Yun Chujio had jumped onto the competition stage again. He glared at Yun Chujio viciously. Why did this little girl go up again? She was going to participate in the talisman competition? That old fogey Huangfu Zhongheng was probably trying his best. Did he really think that Yun Chujio was omnipotent? When the host saw that the judges and participants were all in position, he began to announce the rules of the competition. The content of the competition is a level 6 explosive talisman. However, in order to prevent cheating, the talisman paper, talisman pen, and demon beast blood used by the participants are all provided by the staff. The time limit is 4 hours. The more you draw, the better the quality will be. After the host finished speaking, he gestured for the staff to hand over the talisman paper, talisman pen, and demon beast blood. Then he distributed them to the 10 participants. Yun Chujio looked at the talisman paper, talisman pen, and demon beast blood. She did not see anything unusual. Si Tushar was too obvious if he had done something to these things. Chapter 1434 Talisman Brush broke. The strongest student from the Netherworld Academy was a boy named Li Wei, while the one from Tianyuan Academy was a boy named Su Feng. The two of them obviously knew that they were each other's biggest opponents, and their positions were still close to each other. Therefore, the two of them looked at each other, and their eyes were filled with flames. As the host announced the start of the competition, everyone began to draw nervously. Yun Chujio did not start drawing. Instead, she stretched her neck and watched the others draw. This fellow was preparing to see what level they were at before lowering her level to prevent her from being too heaven-defying. However, in the eyes of the crowd, her appearance meant that she did not know how to draw talismans at all. She was just going up to watch the show. The people of the Tianyuan continent were immediately dissatisfied with Yun Chujia's nonsense. Moreover, they were also quite dissatisfied with Dean Huangfu's decision to let Yun Chujio go up. Wasn't this a waste of a spot? If they had sent someone else up, they might have been able to win first place. However, sending someone like Yun Chujio, who didn't know how to draw talismans, up was simply to make up the numbers. Si Tushar saw Yun Chujio looking around and pursed his lips. It seemed that Yun Chujio was just going up to misbehave. There was nothing to be afraid of. Moreover, they were sure to win this talisman competition. They had done their preparations. The first place in the talisman competition would definitely be their Netherworld Academy. At this time, Su Feng and Li Wei had already finished drawing one explosive talisman and were in the process of drawing the second explosive talisman. Yun Chujio estimated their time. They could probably draw 3 explosive talismans in 2 hours. 4 hours meant 6 talismans. As for her, she could draw 10 talismans in 2 hours. Since that was the case, she would wait a little longer. Hence, Yun Chujio fiddled with the talisman paper for a while, then fiddled with the talisman pen for a while. Otherwise, she would be looking around curiously. The people of the Tianyuan continent became angrier the more they looked at her. It seemed that this fellow was really going up to play. They could not count on her for this round. It was better to look at Su Feng. In the blink of an eye, 2 hours had passed. Su Feng and Li Wei were equally fast. In fact, Su Feng was even a little faster. At this moment, an unexpected accident happened. Su Feng's talisman pen actually broke. Su Feng was immediately stunned. Then he said to the host anxiously, "Host, my talisman pen broke. Please give me another talisman pen." The supporter was about to speak. A judge with triangular eyes said, "The talisman pen is not allowed to be changed. This talisman pen was specially chosen by us to verify whether your spiritual power output is uniform. The reason why the talisman pen broke must be because your spiritual power output is too strong. This is entirely your own reason." Su Feng was immediately dumbfounded. This was simply unreasonable. What kind of pen would break and not be given a pen? Without the Dao talisman pen, how could he continue to draw? At this moment, the Dao talisman pen in the hands of a student from the Netherworld Academy also broke. His application for another Dao talisman pen was also rejected. Therefore, although Su Feng was extremely aggrieved, the people from the Netherworld Academy were also treated the same way. He could not find any fault with them. A trace of treachery flashed across Li Wei's eyes. Humph, Principal Sidhu had already arranged it long ago. This was called sacrificing a pawn to protect a chariot. After the match, the remaining 4 people from the Tianyuan Academy were no match for him at all. The first place would go to him, Li Wei. Yun Chujio frowned. It seemed that the talisman pen had been tampered with, and it had been arranged. She didn't know if her talisman pen had also been tampered with. Chapter 1435 Super-Grade Explosive Talisman. Just as Yun Chujio was deep in thought, another student from the Netherworld Academy had his talisman pen broken. He had a rather annoyed expression on his face. Yun Chujio snorted in her heart. Her acting skills could even make her a best actor. The Netherworld Academy had 2 broken talisman pens. On their side, only Su Feng's talisman pen was broken. There was a high chance that there was something wrong with this talisman pen of hers. She was really unlucky. Su Feng had only drawn 3 Dao talismans before they were broken. This meant that the Dao talismans could only bear enough spiritual power to draw 3 Dao talismans. Could they just watch as the Netherworld Academy's scheme succeeded? Yun Chujio rolled her eyes and said to the host, "Host, I request to change to another Dao talismans." The host had previously accepted Yun Chujio's pills and naturally had a good impression of her. When he heard Yun Chujio's words, he was prepared to agree. Unexpectedly, the judge with triangular eyes shouted sternly, "You are not allowed to change. No one else has changed, so why are you special? If you make any more unreasonable requests, You will be directly punished. The host looked at Yun Chujio helplessly, meaning that there was nothing he could do. Yun Chujio knew that the triangular eyes were 10,000% SI Tusher, that old bastard's accomplice. Moreover, there was an 80% chance that there was something wrong with her talisman pen. What should she do? Forget it. Let's draw a few of them first. What if she was worrying too much? Thus, Yun Chujio no longer hid her strength. She started drawing talismans as quickly as possible, and she even drew a supreme-grade explosive talisman. Yun Chujio calculated that a supreme-grade explosive talisman was worth 10 points, while a high-grade explosive talisman was worth 5 points. If Li Wei drew 6 high-grade explosive talismans, it would be 30 points. Even if her talisman pen broke after drawing 3, she would still be able to obtain 30 points. At the very least, she would be able to tie with him. Regardless of whether it was the people on the stage or the people below, they were all stunned by Yun Chujio's valiant behavior. Everyone saw Yun Chujio quickly waving her talisman pen. Her speed was several times faster than the other contestants. Was she drawing talismans or just randomly drawing? Su Feng's face was full of shock at this moment. Although his stage was separated from Yun Chujio by Li Wei's stage, he could still clearly see the situation on Yun Chujio's stage. Yun Chujio, she actually succeeded in drawing a super-grade explosive talisman. Moreover, it only took less than 15 minutes. How is this possible? Li Wei used the corner of his eyes to see Yun Chujio's situation. His heart was immediately shocked. His spiritual power was thrown into chaos, and the talisman that he was drawing turned into ashes. He hurriedly collected his thoughts and sneered in his heart. No matter how heaven-defying you were, it would be useless. You should be the unlucky one. Other people's talisman brushes had not broken yet, so there must be something wrong with that talisman brush of yours. Without the talisman brush, let's see how you draw. When the people of the Tianyuan continent saw the shocked expressions on Su Feng and the hosts' faces, some expectations rose in their hearts. Perhaps Yun Chujio really knew how to make talismans? Moreover, her speed was so fast that she could definitely catch up to that Li Wei from the Netherworld Academy. Perhaps, the first place would be Yun Chujio's again. Just as hope rose in the hearts of the people of the Tianyuan continent, Yun Chujio's talisman pen broke with a crack. Yun Chujio was extremely vexed. She had neglected one thing. The spiritual power required for a transcendent-grade explosive talisman was much more than that of a high-grade talisman. Therefore, she had only drawn 2 transcendent-grade talismans before this damn talisman pen broke. Li Wei's lips curled into a sneer. It was Headmaster Situ who had thought this through. Otherwise, Yun Chujio would have almost ruined their plan. Chapter 1436. What was Yun Chujio going to do when the people of the Tianyuan continent saw that Yun Chujio's talisman brush was broken? They immediately cried out in disappointment. Fuck! Yun Chujio's talisman brush is broken too. How can she be so unlucky? How can she draw a talisman if her talisman brush is broken? Yeah, she's really unlucky. I originally thought that Yun Chujio would be able to turn the tide, but it seems like she won't be able to. The first place in this round will definitely be taken by that Li Wei from the Nether Academy. Sigh. Our Tianyuan Academy has lost this round of Dao Talismans competition again. The total score is 3-1. We're definitely going to lose this first stage of the competition. What do you think is so coincidental? Su Feng and Yun Chujio's Dao Talismans broke just like that? I think there's something fishy going on here. So what if there's something fishy going on? There's no evidence at all. Didn't you see that 2 people from the Netherworld Academy also broke their Dao Talismans? Damn it. The people from the Netherworld continent are all treacherous. We are really mute and unable to say anything. Dean Huangfu also let out a sigh. He knew that Yun Chujio was learning talismans with that dry old man, so he was rather confident in this round of competition. He had not expected that he would be met with Si Tushi's words. It was really too aggrieved. Di Linhan was also feeling very regretful. He knew that Yun Chujio's talent in talismans was very shocking. The last time when they fought in the Hall of Immortals and the Netherworld Palace, Yun Chujio had blocked the face of the palace lord's wife and drew quite a number of explosive talismans. The palace master's wife naturally told this matter to Di Linhan. Di Linhan still did not believe it at that time, and the palace master's wife had given the transcendent-grade explosive talismans that Yun Chujio had given her to Di Linhan. Only then did Di Linhan believe it. Si Tushar was feeling very pleased with himself. Fortunately, I had made all the necessary preparations. Otherwise, Yun Chujio, that wretched girl, would have succeeded once again. Vice Palace Master Lu was rather satisfied with Si Tushi's arrangements for this round. This Si Tushar had some brains after all. The arrangements for this round were pretty good. We would definitely be able to win this round. Yun Chujio stared at the broken talisman pen in her hand and was extremely vexed. Damn it, she had actually been schemed against. She was really aggrieved. Just admit defeat like this? Definitely not. There must be a way. Calm down, calm down. I will definitely think of a way. Yun Chujio took out a chair and sat on it. She closed her eyes and thought of a way. From the looks of it, Yun Chujio had completely given up. However, it was also true. The talisman pen was broken. What else could she do if she did not give up? It was not that we were not strong. It was just that Si Tushar was too sinister. Time passed quickly. There was less than an hour left until the end of the competition. Li Wei had already finished drawing 4 high-grade explosive talismans. Before the end of the competition, the 6th explosive talisman would also be completed. As for the others, they had only completed 3 talismans. Li Wei felt that the first place was already in his bag. The people of the Tianyuan continent had already given up hope. They would definitely lose this round of talisman competition. At this moment, Yun Chujio, who was leaning against the chair, suddenly opened her eyes. After putting the chair into her storage ring, she stood in front of the workbench once again and spread out a piece of talisman paper. Everyone was stunned. What was Yun Chujio doing? Was she sleepwalking? Without the talisman pen, why did she spread out the talisman paper? Did you want to draw with half of the talisman pen? That was impossible. The principle of the talisman pen was to use a specially made pen rod to transfer spiritual power to the tip of the pen. Once the pen rod broke, the talisman pen could not be used again. Then, what did Yun Chujio want to do? Chapter 1437. With her finger just when everyone was puzzled, Yun Chujio held her breath and focused. She extended her right index finger to the plate that contained the blood of the demon beast. Everyone was shocked. Could it be that Yun Chujio wanted to use her finger as a talisman pen to draw a talisman? Wasn't this a joke? If her finger could draw a talisman, why did she invent a talisman pen? Everyone could just use their fingers. In fact, Yun Chujio was also uncertain. She leaned back on the chair and thought about it. Suddenly, she remembered that when she was competing in the Wuwei Tower, she used her fingers to draw fire talismans on some of the scraps of talisman paper. Although she did not succeed at that time. But in the middle of the night, the place where she threw the talismans suddenly caught fire. Perhaps it was caused by the talisman. However, why did she not succeed at that time but succeeded after a few hours? Yun Chujio racked her brains and suddenly had a thought. Could it be that she used the scraps of the talisman paper, so the talisman she drew was relatively small, and the spiritual power on it was naturally much less than normal talismans, so it delayed the time when the talisman would take effect? Forget it, regardless of whether it was because of this reason or not, this was her only chance. She had to give it a try. She couldn't just admit defeat. After Yun Chujio dipped her right index finger into the demon beast blood, she began to hold her breath and focus on drawing the explosive talisman. At first, it was very smooth. Yun Chujio's heart was filled with joy. It seemed that it was really feasible. Si Tushar, are you fucking scheming against me? HMH, I can still defeat you with my intelligence. Just as Yun Chujio was feeling proud, she was miserable. She had forgotten a very important thing. At that time, she had drawn a small talisman, so the demonic beast blood on her finger was enough. However, she was drawing a normal talisman now. Therefore, before she could draw half of it, the demonic beast blood was used up. When she wanted to dip it into the demonic beast blood to continue drawing, the The talisman had already been burned, and the talisman was ruined. Initially, when Li Wei saw that Yun Chujio had actually used her finger to draw half of the talisman, he was shocked. Now that he saw that Yun Chujio's talisman was ruined, he was finally relieved. This Yun Chujio was simply daydreaming. He had already said that it was impossible for her to successfully draw the talisman with her finger, causing him to have a false alarm. The crowd below the competition stage also let out a sigh. Initially, when they saw that Yun Chujio had really used her finger to draw the talisman, and that it was rather smooth, hope was once again ignited in their hearts. With Yun Chujio's speed, she would definitely be able to surpass Li Wei. Unexpectedly, the talisman was actually ruined. It seemed that their joy was in vain. Si Tushar wiped the cold sweat on his forehead. He had been so scared just now. This damned brat had actually thought of such an idea, and she had really drawn it well. Could it be that she could really use her finger to draw it successfully? Now that he saw that Yun Chujio's talisman was ruined, he heaved a sigh of relief. This damned brat was really full of tricks, and she had almost succeeded again. However, she had thought of things too simply. If she could draw the talisman with her fingers, what was the use of the talisman pen? She really overestimated herself. Yun Chujio's brows were tightly knitted at this moment. What should she do? How could she solve the problem of insufficient demonic beast blood? How about she draw a small talisman? No, that Sanjian was originally from Si Tushi's gang. If she drew a small talisman, he would definitely not approve of it. What should she do? Chapter 1438. Right hand is no good, left hand is no good. Time passed quickly. There was only 15 minutes left until the end of the competition. Yun Chujio turned her head to look at Li Wei. Li Wei had already completed half of his 6th explosive talisman. He would definitely complete 6 before the end of the competition, which was 30 points. Yun Chujio frowned. She only had 2 supreme-grade explosive talismans now. She needed to complete at least 1 more supreme-grade explosive talisman to be able to tie with Li Wei. However, the judge with the triangular eyes might use the reason of her broken talisman brush to place her in 2nd place. Therefore, she needed to complete at least 2 supreme-grade explosive talismans. However, how should she solve the situation where the demon beast's blood supply was insufficient? Everyone in the Tianyuan continent had already lost their confidence. They cursed the Netherworld continent for being despicable and lamented Yun Chujio's bad luck. In short, they no longer had any hope for Yun Chujio. At first, they thought that Yun Chujio would really be able to create a miracle with her finger. They did not expect that she would be crippled halfway through the drawing. Sigh, she was definitely going to lose this round. Yun Chujio's gaze was heavy as she stared at the plate that contained the demonic beast's blood. How could she ensure that the demonic beast's blood was sufficient? Yun Chujio looked at her right hand. Fuck, if only she was a demonic beast. She would just bite her finger and draw. Yun Chujio looked at her hands and her eyes suddenly lit up. There it is. The people below the competition stage suddenly exclaimed, "Look! Yun Chujio is drawing with her finger again." Sigh. It's useless. Even if she drew it, she will still fail. Didn't she fail just now? No matter what, this Yun Chujio is still quite hardworking. We were wrong about her before. Everyone was discussing as they watched Yun Chujio rapidly draw talismans. Then, they were stunned by Yun Chujio's next actions. They saw Yun Chujio drawing with her right index finger that suddenly turned into her left index finger. Yun Chujio took advantage of this opening and dipped her right index finger into some demonic beast blood again before continuing to draw again. The crowd instantly exploded. How could this work? Didn't they say that it was most taboo to have unstable spiritual energy when drawing talismans? She had changed her fingers twice in the middle, so why was the talisman not destroyed yet? The host and the judge on the stage were all stunned by Yun Chujio's behavior. They were already shocked enough when Yun Chujio used her fingers to draw talismans, but now this little girl actually changed her fingers to draw talismans? Moreover, the talisman was not destroyed yet? The judge with San Jiaoyan snorted in his heart. It was impossible to succeed. Even if it was not destroyed now, it would be destroyed soon. He had never heard of anyone who could draw a talisman with their fingers, let alone changing their fingers in the middle. Just as the judge with San Jiaoyan was thinking about it, he heard the few judges around him exclaim in surprise. Actually, as a judge, they should keep quiet. However, they were really too shocked. They saw that not only did Yun Chujio complete the talisman, but there was also a golden light shining on it. Obviously, it was a super-grade explosive talisman. The people below the stage could not see the situation clearly, but they could roughly guess the situation when they saw the referee's shocked expressions. They could not help but feel excited again. Yun Chujio succeeded. She must have succeeded. Otherwise, those referees would not be so surprised. I guess so. It's just that we don't have enough time. No matter how fast she drew, she could only draw one more. That Li Wei could probably finish 6, so Yun Chujio still lost. No, there's another possibility. Yun Chujio drew all supreme-grade explosive talismans. 4 of them would be 40 points, and she would be able to surpass Li Wei. Chapter 1439. For supreme-grade explosive talismans, when the people from the Netherworld heard the people from the Tianyuan continent say this, they immediately mocked. Are you people from the Tianyuan continent crazy? 4 supreme-grade explosive talismans? Not to mention that Yun Chujio drew them with her fingers. Even a talisman master with a talisman brush might not be able to draw 4 supreme-grade talismans in one go. That's right. Your Tianyuan continent will definitely lose this round. The first place goes to our Netherworld continent's Li Wei. The people of Tianyuan continent were naturally not convinced. One person said, HMH. Just because you guys can't do it doesn't mean that Yun Chujio can't do it. Yun Chujio even refined 5 super-grade elixirs previously. Your C-Tusher even said that Yun Chujio cheated. But you people from the Netherworld continent are really shameless. You are the fucking shameless one. You people from the Tianyuan continent are all trash. You guys will definitely lose this round. Dean Huangfu stared nervously at Yun Chujio, who was on the stage. He felt that his old heart was about to stop beating. Little Jiao could definitely do it. What she drew would definitely be a supreme-grade explosive talisman. As long as she successfully drew another one. Even if it was a high-grade explosive talisman, the first place would still belong to Little Jiao. C-Tushi's heart was also raised. He stared maliciously at Yun Chujio, who was drawing talismans with her fingers on the stage. So what if you could really draw 2 talismans? You only drew a total of 4 talismans. You can't even compare to Li Wei. As for transcendent-grade talismans? Stop dreaming. That's impossible. Just before the end of the competition, Yun Chujio's 4th talisman was completed. Yun Chujio let out a sigh of relief. Although it was a close call, it was finally completed. Li Wei, who was beside Yun Chujio, saw the 4 talismans on Yun Chujio's workbench and almost collapsed to the ground. She actually used her fingers to draw 2 more burst talismans? Moreover, they were super-grade talismans? How was this possible? At this moment, the 10 judges had already left their seats to assess the first contestant's results. However, Li Wei was not in the mood to pay attention. He knew that he had lost. Li Wei was still immersed in the shock when he saw a white shadow flash before his eyes. When he focused his eyes, he realized that it was Yun Chujio who had taken away his talisman pen. Li Wei was about to question her, but Yun Chujio made a gesture of silence. During the judging process, the other contestants were not allowed to interfere with the judging process, so Li Wei could only remain silent in anger. However, the host was paying attention to the situation here. Yun Chujio rolled her eyes and waved at the host. She handed the talisman pen that had been cut into 2 pieces and Li Wei's talisman pen to the host. She mouthed, "Help me take care of it." Although the host did not know what Yun Chujio was going to do, she was still willing to help with such a simple task. Hence, she nodded and kept the talisman pen. After the results of the first 8 people were announced, the 10 judges came to Li Wei's workbench. After checking the talisman, they handed the results to the host. Netherworld Academy, Li Wei, completes 6 high-grade explosive talismans within the stipulated time. 30 points, the host announced loudly. Everyone was not surprised by this. They stretched their necks and waited for Yun Chujia's results. The 10 referees walked to Yun Chujia's workbench. Although they had already made a mental prediction, they were still very shocked when they saw the 4 golden explosive talismans, especially the last 2. Those were drawn by Yun Chujio with 2 fingers. It was simply too heaven-defying. Although the triangular-eyed judge wanted to find some flaws in the talismans, no matter how he looked at it, it was still a perfect supergrade burst talisman. There were no flaws at all. It was as if he was looking at San Jiaoyan. The host announced slightly excitedly, Tian Yuan Academy, Yun Chujio has completed 4 supergrade burst talismans within the stipulated time. She has 40 points. The first place in the talisman competition is Yun Chujio. The crowd immediately exploded. Chapter 1440. You have a point. The people of the Tian Yuan continent had gone from hell to paradise in an instant. This feeling was too fucking exciting. It was too fucking awesome. Everyone felt that if they did not roar a few times, they would go crazy. So what if you don't have a talisman pen? You can still get first place with your fingers. Yun Chujio, you are too amazing. Yun Chujio, you are my idol. Fairy Yun, you are the best. You are the pride of our Tian Yuan continent. Dean Huangfu was so happy that he almost jumped up. Little Jiao was really good. Di Linhan and Yu Yu proudly straightened their backs. Now, he wished that everyone on the entire continent knew that this was my future daughter-in-law. All of you should fucking stop thinking about my daughter-in-law. This is my son's. Right at this moment, the judge with the triangular eyes said loudly, "Wait. Yun Chujio cannot obtain the first place. The first place should go to Li Wei." Everyone was shocked by his words, and the people from the Tian Yuan continent started to curse, "Bullshit. Yun Chujio has 10 more points than Li Wei. Why is the first place not Yun Chujius?" That's right. Are you blind or deaf? The first place goes to Yun Chujio. I think he's blind in the heart. How shameless. San Jiaoyan said with a fake smile, I have my reasons for saying that. What was the test of making talismans? It was the stability of the output of spiritual power. Yun Chujio broke the talisman pen, which meant that there was a flaw in her output of spiritual power. In addition, the talisman pen had always been used to make talismans, but she used her finger. This was against the rules. Therefore, the first place should belong to Li Wei. The people from the Tian Yuan continent were instantly enraged. You're fucking spouting nonsense. No matter if it's a white cat or a black cat catching a mouse, it's a good cat. What's wrong with Yun Chujio using her finger? Using your finger? Pooey. The rules of the competition did not say that you were not allowed to use your finger at all. Furthermore, didn't they say that the quality and quantity of talisman writing would be used as the basis for the results? What right do you have to say that Yun Chujius doesn't count? Shameless. You're from the Netherworld continent, so you're speaking up for the Netherworld continent. If you lie like this, you might be struck by lightning. The people from the Netherworld continent were in favor of San Jiaoyan's judgment. They were competing with the people from the Tian Yuan continent. The judge is right. Yun Chujio broke the talisman brush. How can she be considered a talisman master? This is the same logic as a chef who made a mistake while cooking. She doesn't deserve to be first. That's right. She is not representative at all. Are we going to use our fingers to make talismans in the future? That's right. That's why Li Wei deserves to be first. After all, Li Wei's talisman brush is not broken. Dean Huangfu was so angry that his beard was raised. Just as he was about to argue with the judge with San Jiaoyan, he heard Yun Chujio say clearly, "Everyone, quiet down. I have something to say." Yun Chujio was now the focus of attention. Everyone quieted down when they heard what she said. They wanted to hear what Yun Chujio had to say. Yun Chujio said with a smile, "This judge, what you said is very reasonable." The people of the Tian Yuan continent almost fainted from anger. Yun Chujio, your head was kicked by a spirit beast. Are you crazy? The San Jiaoyan judge snorted coldly, "It's good that you know. Since that's the case, host, please announce again. The first place goes to Li Wei." Wait, I haven't finished speaking. What's the rush? Although what you said is reasonable, The premise of your words is that those talisman pens haven't been tampered with. Yun Chujio said coldly. Chapter 1441. You're really stupid. San Jiaoyan was shocked, but he said angrily, What do you mean? Yun Chujio said faintly, What do I mean? Do you think your little tricks in the netherworld are very good? You just did some tricks on the talisman brush. On the surface, it seems that 2 of your students' talisman brushes are broken, just like ours. Didn't you want to abandon the pawn to protect the cart? Kill the strongest person on our side, Su Feng, and then Li Wei will get first place. Am I right? You're slandering me. You're slandering the referee for no reason. Your results have been cancelled. The San Jiaoyan referee was shocked. This stupid girl was too smart. However, so what if you guessed it? You have no evidence at all. Referee? Do you deserve to be called a referee with your character? Do you think I have no evidence? Could you please invite the 10 referees from yesterday's refining to come up and check our talisman pens to see if there is anything fishy inside? I believe that you will be able to see the problem clearly. Yun Chujio said to the VIP seats. The triangle-eyed judge panicked when he heard that. He wanted to say that he could not let those people see the problem. If ordinary people could not see the problem, those old people would definitely be able to see it. He had to destroy the evidence. If that was the case, there was nothing they could do even if they were suspicious. When the triangle-eyed judge thought of this, he suddenly walked to the front of the contestants' workstations and gathered all the talismans and pencils together. San Jiaoyan. Then he said angrily, What's wrong with these Dao talismans? They are all the same. If you don't believe me, I will prove it to you. San Jiaoyan's hand tightened, and all the Dao talismans were shattered into powder. Then he said, Look, what's different? They are all the same structure. Everyone was not stupid. They all knew that San Jiaoyan was destroying the evidence. They cursed angrily, but they also knew that the evidence had been destroyed by him. If he said it without any evidence, he was afraid that he would have to file a lawsuit. This matter would be difficult to resolve. Yun Chujio laughed crisply. She laughed very unhappily. Do you think that by destroying the evidence, I won't be able to prove that you guys tampered with the talisman pens? TSK, you guys are really stupid. Do you think that I, Yun Chujio, am that stupid? Allowing you to destroy the evidence? 10 artifact masters, please come up and help identify it. San Jiaoyan did not understand what Yun Chujio meant at the beginning. When he saw Li Wei winking at him, he was shocked to realize that he had only destroyed 8 talisman pens and did not see the talisman pens of Li Wei and Yun Chujio. San Jiaoyan's head buzzed. It was over. It was going to be bad. Before he could think of a countermeasure, the 10 refining referees had already jumped onto the competition stage. Yun Chujio said to the other 9 Dao Talisman's referees, Referees, I believe that all of you have a conscience and professional ethics. You should also want to get to the bottom of this matter, right? In that case, please keep an eye on this scum so that he won't destroy the evidence again during the appraisal process. The 9 judges nodded and blocked the judge with San Jiaoyan behind them. In fact, they already knew that the talisman brush must have been tampered with by the Nether Academy. However, the talisman brush had been destroyed. What evidence could the little girl bring out? Yun Chujio smiled at the host. Please pass Li Wei and my talisman brush to the 10 artifact masters and let them see the tricks in it. Chapter 1442. The truth was revealed. The host handed Yun Chujio and Li Wei's talisman pens to the 10 refining referees. The host was full of admiration for Yun Chujio. No wonder the little girl asked him to help preserve the talisman pens. It turned out that she had already anticipated this scene. It was too monstrous. Almost everyone had the same thoughts as him. Heavens, this Yun Chujio was simply not human. She had actually thought of all this ahead of time, so she had made preparations. She was really too smart. Si Tushar was so angry that he gritted his teeth. Although he hated Yun Chujio for being smart, he hated Li Wei even more. You piece of trash. He couldn't even hold on to his own pen, and it had actually been snatched away by that smelly girl. It was fine if it had been snatched away, but why didn't you give referee Lu a warning? But now, the matter was about to be exposed. What should he do? Di Linhan did not even know how to express his pride. Good. This was just too good. That little brat Bei Ming really had good taste. When Xueli saw the smug look on Di Linhan's face, he felt a little sour in his heart. He did not believe that he would not be able to help Wu Ji find a wife who was even more amazing than Yun Chujio. Let's wait and see. At this moment, the 10 artifact refining referees on the competition stage had already finished checking the 2 talisman pens. Among them, the 5 artifact refining referees from the Netherworld continent looked a little embarrassed. They did not expect that the Netherworld Academy would actually use such a despicable method. It was really disgraceful. A refining referees from the Tianyuan continent said coldly, "We have finished checking. Li Weiss Dao talismans are normal Dao talismans. However, the Dao talismans that Yun Chujio has broken, although it can't be seen from the outside, the inside of the pen shaft has been tampered with. As long as the spiritual power reaches a certain value, the pen shaft will break." The crowd immediately exploded. The Tianyuan continent's curses were as unpleasant as they could be. Even the people from the Netherworld continent felt that this matter was too embarrassing. It was not impossible for you to do something. Don't let others find out about it. This time, you were caught by the Tianyuan continent. It was simply too embarrassing. Si Tushi's forehead was once again covered in sweat. He gritted his teeth. At this point, he could only abandon his pawn to protect the cart. Hence, he shouted angrily, "Lu Kue! I never thought that you would actually do such a despicable thing. Even though your starting point is for the Netherworld, what we want is an upright victory, not a victory that relies on means. You are simply too much." Lu Kue, who was also the triangular-eyed judge, was stunned at first. When he saw Si Tushi's vicious gaze, he immediately understood Asai Tushi's meaning. He could only say, "Humph. One should take responsibility for one's actions. This matter was indeed done by me. Since I've been discovered, I can't say anything. TSK, your Netherworld continent is really heartless. Once something happens, you push your subordinates to take the blame. This Judge Lu, I really feel bad for you. Your reputation in this lifetime will be ruined. TSK, I don't know if your master will kill you to silence you when we return. I'm really worried for you." Yun Chujio said in a tone that said, "I'm doing you a favor." The triangular-eyed judge's heart was thumping heavily because of Yun Chujio's words. He knew Si Tushi's character. Perhaps he would really kill him to silence him. Cold sweat dripped down his back. He had never thought that Si Tusher would actually kill Si Tusher. Yun Chujio pursed her lips. "Damn it. I'll scare you to death. Play tricks with me, I'll torture you to death." The other 9 talisman judges, seeing that the matter had been investigated thoroughly, had the host once again confirm the results of the competition. The winner of this round of talisman competition was Tianyuan Academy. Chapter 1443 Beast Taming Competition began. After thanking the host and the judges, Yun Chujio jumped off the competition stage and jumped to the viewing area of Tianyuan Academy. What greeted her was naturally a tsunami of praise. This guy pretended to be modest and then jumped in front of Dean Huangfu. "Dean, I also want to participate in the beast taming competition. Remember to help me get the quota for the beast taming competition." Yun Chujio said with a smile. Even if Dean Huangfu said that Yun Chujio wanted his old life, he estimated that he would not hesitate. Not to mention that Yun Chujio wanted the beast taming quota for the Tianyuan Academy. He immediately found a student who originally wanted to participate in the beast taming competition. That student immediately agreed. "What a joke, how can I compete with this monster? Let her go." After a short rest, the most crucial round of the first phase of the competition, the beast taming competition, began. When everyone saw Yun Chujio jumping up again, everyone was dumbfounded. What? Yun Chujio actually still wanted to participate in the beast taming competition? It was already abnormal enough that she knew how to refine pills and talismans, but she also knew how to taming beasts? Si Tusher wished that he could go up and pull Yun Chujio down. For some reason, when he saw Yun Chujio, his heart panicked and he could only comfort himself. This Yun Chujio must have gone up to make up the numbers. She definitely didn't know how to taming beasts. Humph, it did not matter even if she knew how to tame beasts. This time, among the contestants they sent out, there was Li Han, the grandson of the most famous beastmaster in the Netherworld continent, Li Qianren. Moreover, this time's topic, Humph, no one in your Tian Yuan Academy could complete it. The host saw that the contestants and judges were already in position and announced the rules of the competition. The rules of the competition were very simple. Whoever first established a spiritual connection with the target demon beast and successfully controlled it would be the winner. During the competition, it was strictly prohibited to use drugs such as the bewitching beast powder. Once it was discovered, the results of the competition would be cancelled. After the host announced the rules of the competition, he signaled the staff to bring the cage of the demon beast up. A moment later, dozens of staff brought a huge cage onto the competition stage. The cage was covered with a black cloth. Everyone was extremely curious. What kind of demon beast was inside? When the black cloth was pulled down, everyone was shocked. Inside the cage was a level 24 Lai Yen red-tailed fox. Oh my god, am I seeing things? This is Lai Yen red-tailed fox? This is a level 24 demon beast. How can it be successfully controlled? The highest level of spiritual power of the students on the stage was only at the 7th level of the Spirit Saint realm. This level 24 Lai Yen red-tailed fox was equivalent to a cultivator at the 9th level of the Spirit Saint realm. Weren't beast tamers only able to control demon beasts with lower spiritual power than themselves? Yeah, who came up with this question? Are you out of your mind? Someone from the Netherworld continent said smugly, Tiske, no one from your Tian Yuan Academy can complete it, but someone from our Netherworld Academy can. That's right. Li Han from our Netherworld Academy is the grandson of beast tamer Master Li Qianren. He has had extraordinary beast tamer talents since he was young. The most important thing is that he can even control beasts of a higher level. Although your Tian Yuan Academy managed to equalize the score with dog shit, luck, and luck, you will still lose this beast taming competition. The people of the Tian Yuan continent were at a loss. Why was this question designed by the Nether Academy? The Tian Yuan Academy agreed to it? Were they stupid? Actually, they had really misunderstood. The questions of refining weapons and pills were created by the Tian Yuan Academy. The Nether Academy had used the excuse that they were guests to design 3 questions: array formation, talisman seal, and beast taming. Chapter 1444 The Art of Seduction. Those contestants on the stage to see the cage inside the Lai Yen red-tailed fox also exclaimed, This is simply no way to complete it? Lai Yen red-tailed fox spiritual power than our own spiritual power is a level higher. How can control success? Only Li Han from the Netherworld Academy had a hint of pride in his eyes. HMH, of course, none of you will succeed. Only I will be able to control it successfully. Even though I have chosen this fiery red-tailed seductive fox, it will still be quite difficult for me to control it. Lai Yen, 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 Lai Yen. However, this was the only way to ensure that none of you would succeed. At this moment, the host announced, Let the competition begin. The 10 contestants approached the cage that contained the fiery red-tailed fox. The fiery red-tailed fox in the cage let out a few frustrated roars. Then, it gave them a contemptuous glance. A trace of craftiness flashed across its glassy eyes. Suddenly, there was silence. The contestants saw that the Lai Yen red-tailed fox had quieted down. They felt that this was the best opportunity to establish a spiritual sense connection with it, so one by one, they began to try to establish a spiritual sense connection with it. When the contestants were concentrating on trying to communicate with the Lai Yen red-tailed fox with spiritual sense, they felt a little dizzy. The people below the competition stage were stupefied to see that the contestants on the stage had gone crazy. Ha! I am the #1 Beastmaster in the Nether Academy. What bullshit. Li Han is just relying on his grandfather. I like Nangong Wu the most in our class. That figure is simply too fantastical. Fuck, the person I hate the most is Si Tusher. He only knows how to exploit us all day long. If we don't give him gifts, he will give us little shoes to wear. But, Mingzhu, do you know that I like you? Although I know that I am not worthy of you, I love you deeply in my heart. There were only two people on the stage who were still normal. One was Li Han, who was already prepared, and the other was Yun Chujio, who was chewing on the spiritual fruit. Everyone else was trying to establish a spiritual connection with Lai Yan's red-tailed fox, but this guy did not go over at all. Instead, he was sitting not far away and chewing on the spiritual fruit. Therefore, he was not affected by Lai Yan's seductive technique. Everyone below the stage immediately understood the reason for Lai Yan's madness. It seemed that they had been affected by Lai Yan's seduction technique. How could they control Lai Yan successfully? Although Si Tushar was annoyed by the students' nonsense, when he saw that Li Han was not affected by Lai Yan's seduction technique, he heaved a sigh of relief. Those people no longer had the chance to compete with Li Han for the first place. The first place would definitely belong to Li Han. As for Yun Chujio, who was eating the spirit fruit at the side, Si Tushar had already excluded her because he felt that Yun Chujio had not stepped forward for a long time and definitely did not know any beast-taming techniques. Many people below the stage thought the same. They thought that Yun Chujio was quite smart and knew that she did not know any beast-taming techniques, so she did not go near the fiery red-tailed fox to avoid making a fool of herself. The first place would sooner or later belong to Li Han of the Nether Academy. Dean Huangfu was also a little flustered. Little Nine had learned the beast-controlling technique for a year and a half, but he heard that her results were just so. Could she control a fiery red-tailed fox that was so much higher than her spiritual power? At this time, Li Han had already begun to try to establish a spiritual connection with the fiery red-tailed fox. The fiery red-tailed fox once again used its claws to beat the cage impatiently, not cooperating at all. Lai Yan was the only one who could control the fiery red-tailed fox. Li Han's forehead began to sweat. This damned fiery red-tailed seductive fox. Previously, I had clearly successfully controlled other fiery red-tailed seductive foxes. Why can't I do it today? Lai Yan, Lai Yan, Lai Yan, Lai Yan, Lai Yan, Lai Yan. Chapter 1445. Li Han's secret technique. What Li Han didn't know was that although this fiery red-tailed fox was at level 24, it was actually about to break through to level 25. Therefore, it wouldn't be so easy for Li Han to establish a spiritual connection with Lai Yan. Time passed quickly. The 8 contestants gradually woke up and realized that they had been bewitched by the fiery red-tailed fox's seduction technique. They were instantly embarrassed and could only try to establish a spiritual connection with the fiery red-tailed fox again. Lai Yan's seductive fox looked at them with disdain and used the seductive technique again. This time, the 8 people were on guard and did not fall for it easily. However, they were constantly distracted, so it was naturally impossible for them to successfully establish a spiritual connection. As for Yun Chujio, she was still sitting leisurely at the side as if nothing had happened. She was even more leisurely than those referees. Everyone was already powerless to complain. Forget it, Yun Chujio had already helped them get 2 first places. She could just make trouble in this beast-taming competition. After all, if it were someone else, it would be useless. A full 2 hours had passed, but Li Han still had not succeeded in establishing a spiritual connection with Lai Yan's red-tailed fox. He gritted his teeth. It seemed that he could only use the Li family's secret technique. Li Han bit the index finger on his right hand and began to chant, "My blood, in exchange for your soul." A blood bead on Li Han's right index finger began to condense and rush towards Lai Yan's forehead. Lai Yan wanted to avoid the blood bead, but there was limited space in the cage, and the blood bead was extremely fast. The blood bead directly entered Lai Yan's forehead. Li Han's heart is a joy, success. With my blood essence mark, I will be able to successfully establish a spiritual connection with it. Li Han once again tried to establish a spiritual connection with the fiery red-tailed seductive fox. Although the fiery red-tailed seductive fox was affected by the drop of blood, it still beat the cage impatiently, not wanting to give in to Lai Yan. Li Han tried for an hour, but the red-tailed fox still refused to give in. He gritted his teeth, broke his index finger again, and began to chant, "My blood for your soul." Lai Yan's voice was hoarse. Li Han was still chanting with his eyes closed, but he did not expect that just as the blood rose into the air and entered the cage, it was destroyed by a spiritual fruit core. Li Han realized that something was wrong. He opened his eyes and looked at the fruit core on the ground. He was stunned at first, then he realized that this was Yun Chujia's doing. He angrily asked, "Yun Chujio, why did you use the fruit core to interrupt my secret technique?" Yun Chujio blinked her eyes innocently. "Interrupt your secret technique? I didn't do it on purpose. I just casually threw it away. It was purely a coincidence. Continue. This time, I promise I won't disturb you." Li Han snorted coldly. He thought that the competition was more important. He would teach this stupid girl a lesson in the future. Thus, Li Han squeezed out another drop of blood and began to chant with his eyes closed. When the blood rose, another fruit core was thrown over. The blood bead dissipated again. I'm really sorry. This fruit core probably likes that direction. It just so happened that it scattered your blood again. I'm really sorry. Yun Chujio said with a smile. Li Han gritted his teeth. Yun Chujio, you did it on purpose? Judges, Yun Chujio interrupted my secret technique twice. Please make the decision for me. One of the judges with an aquiline nose said unhappily, Yun Chujio, if you interrupt Li Han's secret technique again, you will be disqualified. Yun Chujio spread her hands. Didn't you say that you are not allowed to use medicine? Why can Mao Li Han use secret techniques? Maybe there is something bad in his blood? Maybe that Li Han ate dozens of kilograms of beastly powder last night. Chapter 1446. Drain a basin of blood. Li Han almost fainted from Yun Chujia's anger. A few dozen caddies of bewitching beast powder? What do you take me for? I am a fucking demonic beast. If I swallow a few dozen caddies of bewitching beast powder, I will also die. The other 4 contestants from Tianyuan Academy heard Yun Chujia's words and also said one after another, "That's right. Maybe he had taken some medicine beforehand and then said it was some secret technique." Humph. The people from Netherworld Academy are indeed treacherous. Fortunately, Junior Yun is smart, or else she would be fooled by you again. Since we are not allowed to use medicine, this Li Han is also not allowed to use secret techniques, or else it would be unfair to us. The people from the Tianyuan continent also jeered. That's right. There must be something wrong with that Li Han's blood. Your Netherworld continent is best at cheating. That Li Han using secret techniques is cheating. He should be disqualified from the competition. Si Tushar was so angry that he gritted his teeth. This damn Yun Chujio was really too good at stirring up trouble. The judge with the hooked nose sneered, "Shut up. You guys are really ignorant. It has been a long time since a beast master used a secret technique. The blood essence of the beast master entered the demon beast's divine sense, which made it easier to establish a divine sense connection. How could there be such a thing as cheating? Everyone, tell me, does this secret technique count as cheating?" The hooked nose asked the other 9 referees. Although there were people from the Tianyuan continent among the 9 referees, they could not lie openly. This beast tamer's secret technique really could not be considered cheating. Yun Chujio saw their expressions and knew what they meant. She rolled her eyes and said, "Even if the secret technique is not considered cheating, we still have to check if there are any prohibited drugs in Li Han's blood to convince everyone. How about this, Li Han, you put a basin of blood for the judges to check. If there are no prohibited drugs in it, then you can use the secret technique." A basin of blood? Li Han's eyes were red with anger. Are you going to test my blood or kill me? In the end, Li Han still put out a few drops of blood. After the judges checked it, they proved that there were no prohibited drugs such as bewitching powder in his blood and he could continue to use the secret technique. Humph. Yun Chujio, although you are very cunning, the first place of beast taming will definitely belong to me, Li Han. After Li Han finished speaking, he squeezed out another drop of blood and began to chant. He had just said one word when he heard Yun Chujia's roar. It scared him so much that he opened his eyes. The chant was interrupted, and the drop of blood fell to the ground. Judge! Yun Chujio has repeatedly interrupted me. Please disqualify her from the competition. Li Han really wanted to go up and strangle Yun Chujio to death. This damn brat must have done it on purpose. The hawk-nosed referee immediately said angrily, "That's right. This Yun Chujio interrupted Li Han's use of a secret skill for no reason. She should be expelled." Yun Chujio said with a grievance, "I didn't interrupt Li Han for no reason. I want to ask one thing for everyone. Since Li Han can use a secret skill, then can we also use it? If we use it, it's not against the rules, right?" The hooked nose said disdainfully, "There are very few beast masters' secret techniques passed down, and you still know the secret technique? If you know it, just use it. However, if you interrupt Li Han's secret technique again, you will be disqualified from the competition." Don't worry. I still have to use my secret technique quickly. How can I have the time to interrupt his secret technique? Everyone, please take a look. Our Yun family's secret beast-taming technique, which has been passed down for millions of years, is not easily seen by outsiders. Today, you will be lucky to see it. Yun Chujio said smugly. Chapter 1447 Yun Chujio's beast-taming secret technique. The corners of everyone's eyes twitched violently. You really dare to brag. There is a limit to bragging, okay? It has been passed down for millions of years? Millions of years ago, forget about beast-taming techniques, there probably wasn't anyone. Li Han also scoffed at Yun Chujio's words. He glared at Yun Chujio and once again squeezed out a drop of blood, preparing to chant. At this moment, Yun Chujio said loudly, "Little fox, come here, come to me. I have chicken drumsticks here. As long as you obediently establish a spiritual connection with me, this roasted chicken drumstick in my hand will be yours." Li Han was stunned by Yun Chujio's actions and forgot to chant. Damn, he had wasted another drop of blood essence. Everyone was also shocked by Yun Chujio's actions. Damn, was this the secret technique that she had been talking about for millions of years? What the hell are you playing at? Do you think this flaming red-tailed fox is an ordinary fox? Lai Yan thought. A chicken leg can be bribed? What a fantasy! The flaming red-tailed fox glanced at Yun Chujio with disdain. Is this little girl sick? She was very sick. Although the drumstick was quite fragrant, how could this fox abandon her integrity for a drumstick? In her dreams! Yun Chujio was still mumbling, "This is not an ordinary drumstick. This roasted drumstick was obtained with great difficulty. You don't know that the old ding of our canteen has a very strange temper. I spent a lot of effort to get a few roasted drumsticks. How could it be easy for me?" Yun Chujio's mouth was dry as she spoke, but the flaming red-tailed fox was also unmoved. Yun Chujio stomped her feet. "Damn it. If you don't want to eat it, then forget it. They'll eat it myself." After this fellow finished speaking, he picked up the roasted chicken drumstick and began to eat it. As he ate, he said, "Hey, Li Han, don't you have a secret technique? Why aren't you using it? Did you see the secret technique I used and feel ashamed to use your secret technique?" Li Han felt a chill down his spine. "I feel ashamed to use your secret technique? You were the one who interrupted my secret technique, okay? This stupid girl was really too despicable." Li Han forced himself to calm down. After he collected his thoughts, he squeezed out another drop of blood, then closed his eyes and began to chant. With my blood. Li Han had just finished chanting when he heard Yun Chujio's roar. He was so scared that he forgot the rest of the words. "Hey, little fox. It seems that I have to use another secret technique passed down from my ancestors. This time, I will definitely make you obediently establish a spiritual connection with me." Yun Chujio stomped her feet and shook her head as she said. Li Han understood. This guy did it on purpose. She just wanted to interrupt his secret technique. Referee, you all saw it. This Yun Chujio doesn't know any secret technique at all. She is just deliberately causing trouble. I beg you to disqualify her from the competition." Li Han said angrily. Yun Chujio placed her hands on her hips. She pointed at Li Han's nose and scolded, "Which eye of yours saw that I don't know any secret techniques? What I used just now was clearly a secret technique that has been passed down in our Yun family for millions of years. How could I allow you to fail and not allow me to fail? Why did I interrupt your secret technique when I was speaking? Are you blaming me for your own lack of concentration? According to your logic, wouldn't it mean that when you were taming the beast would have to be obedient and not be able to make a sound? You are a waste, yet you still blame others. How shameless!" Li Han's face was flushed red from Yun Chujio's rebuke. You are twisting logic. I have never heard of using a chicken drumstick to successfully taming the beast. You are deliberately causing trouble. Yun Chujio bared her teeth. One chicken leg is naturally not enough, but two might not be enough. Chapter 1448. The Weak and Tender Soul. Even if you had 8 chicken legs, you would not be able to successfully tame a beast. Judge, I request to expel Yun Chujio. She has repeatedly interrupted my secret technique. It is really too much. Li Han felt his head buzzing. He did not know whether he was angered by Yun Chujio or he had lost a little too much blood. The hawk-nosed judge was about to speak. Yun Chujio said angrily, "Referee." Li Han insulted my ancestral secret technique. He had broken my weak and tender heart into 108 pieces. Moreover, I was using my secret technique. I was about to succeed, but he interrupted my secret technique. I request that he be expelled from the stage. Li Han was stunned. The other contestants were stunned. The host and the referee were stunned. Everyone below the stage was stunned. There was no one else who could be so shameless. You used a broken chicken drumstick to fool me, and that was your ancestral secret technique? Aren't you shameless? Besides, is your indestructible heart still weak? Still immature? Who are you lying to? The hawk-nosed referee snorted. You don't need to quibble anymore. You have been disqualified from the competition. Leave immediately. Yun Chujio's little face darkened. This referee, you have to live up to your conscience and your identity as a referee. What right do you have to disqualify me from the competition? Host, let me ask you. When you announced the rules, did you forbid the contestants from speaking? The host shook his head. No. Did you hear that? Since the rules did not forbid the contestants from speaking, what's wrong with me speaking? Besides, when I was using my ancestral secret technique, Li Han even interrupted me. Why didn't you send him out? If you want to punish me, that's fine too. But you have to treat everyone equally and send Li Han out as well. Otherwise, not only am I not convinced, but everyone in the Tianyuan continent is also not convinced. Don't you think so? Yun Chujio waved her hand at the people below the competition stage. The people from the Tianyuan continent immediately started to clamor. Right? Yun Chujio is right. She didn't say that she wouldn't be allowed to speak, so what right do you have to punish Yun Chujio? Don't tell me that when you are fighting with the demon beasts, you don't even allow the demon beasts to call out? Pooey! I think this judge must have taken money from the Netherworld Academy. How shameless! The eagle-nosed judge was so angry that his face turned red. He pointed at Yun Chujio and said, What did I do? Besides, there are 10 referees in total. Why are you the only one who owes me so much? You don't even believe that you confiscated the benefits from the Netherworld Academy, do you? Judges of justice, am I right? Since the rules don't prohibit me from speaking, what's wrong with me speaking? Yun Chujio said with the eagle-nosed referee. She looked at the other 9 referees who were dumbfounded. The other 9 referees discussed with each other. Indeed, the rules did not prohibit one from speaking. Thus, an older referee said, since there are no restrictions in the rules, the competition will continue. Yun Chujio looked at Li Han proudly. Li Han, the attitude of this beast tamer is very crucial. You can't be impatient. Let me give you a good suggestion. If you really feel that my words are disturbing you, you might as well use something to cover your ears. Li Han only felt his head buzzing. He glared fiercely at Yun Chujio. Do you think that you can disturb me with this method? The first place will definitely be mine. TSK, your name is Li Han, not awesome. Do you really think that you are so amazing? Unless that little fox is out of her mind, she would not establish a spiritual connection with you. What the heck? Yun Chujio pouted and said. Chapter 1449 had been successfully controlled. Li Han gritted his teeth. He knew that he was no match for Yun Chujio. He glared at her and walked to the cage, ready to continue using the secret technique. The flaming red-tailed fox was very intelligent. It knew that once Li Han successfully used the secret technique, it would not be able to resist. Therefore, it took advantage of the fact that Li Han had not used the secret technique and used the seductive technique on Li Han. Lai Yan knew that the flaming red-tailed fox would not be able to resist. Li Han was very angry with Yun Chujio. He did not expect the flaming red-tailed seductive fox to take advantage of the situation. Moreover, he had lost a lot of blood and was very angry with Yun Chujio. His spiritual sense was a little unstable, so he fell into Lai Yan's trap. Ha, the first place is mine. You trash are not even qualified to carry my shoes. Our Li family's beast-taming technique is the best in the world. None of you are good at it. If it were not for my grandfather who insisted that I go to some netherworld academy, I would not have come. The teacher who taught me is not as powerful as me. Do you know why you chose this fiery red-tailed fox? Because your spiritual power is low, and none of you can successfully control it, only I can. Lai Yan said with a smile. Situsher was so angry that he almost passed out. At that time, he had said that it wasn't safe to choose the fiery red-tailed fox because although this fiery red-tailed fox was locked in a specially made cage and couldn't shoot fireballs, the charm technique could still be used. Lai Yan, this trash, said that it was no problem, but now he had said everything. It was simply too embarrassing. Yun Chujio saw that Li Han was in a daze after talking crazily. This guy rolled his eyes. This was a good opportunity. She had to take advantage of the time when he was not awake to trick this silly fox into her hands. Yun Chujio held the chicken leg that was more than half eaten in her hand and walked to the side of the cage. As she chewed on the chicken leg, she said, "Little fox, let me tell you a story." The flaming red-tailed fox looked at Yun Chujio with disdain. However, it felt that Yun Chujio had tortured Li Han enough, so it did not hate her so much. Therefore, it did not use the charm on Yun Chujio. The crow made a nest on the big tree. There was a hole under the big tree, and the fox lived in the hole. One day, the crow flew out to find food for her child. She found a piece of meat and brought it back. Yun Chujio smiled and began to tell the story of the crow and the fox to the flaming red-tailed seductive fox, Lai Yan. The rest of the people on the stage were dumbfounded, and the people below the stage were also at a loss. Could it be that Yun Chujio had also been bewitched? Are you crazy? What kind of story are you telling to a demon beast? This is not even as reliable as using roasted chicken drumsticks to hook up with a demon beast. The people of the Netherworld continent originally felt very embarrassed when they saw Li Han go crazy. Now that they saw Yun Chujio acting like this, they naturally would not let go of the opportunity to take revenge. They immediately laughed out loud. Is there something wrong with your Tianyuan continent's Yun Chujio's head? She even told a story to Lai Yan's red-tailed fox? She can't possibly think that she can control Lai Yan's red-tailed fox just by telling a story, right? That's right, what a whimsical idea. Does she think that Lai Yan's red-tailed fox is a child? If she can control a demon beast just like that, why would she learn how to control a demon beast? The people of Tianyuan continent really wanted to defend Yun Chujio, but how should they explain it? Could it be that Yun Chujio could subdue a demon beast just by telling a story? Not to mention the people of the Netherworld continent, even they themselves did not believe it. At this moment, someone shouted, "Quick! Quick! Yun Chujio, it's done." What's done? Are you crazy too? The person next to him cursed. Then he looked at the stage and immediately shouted, "It's done! It's really done! Yun Chujio really succeeded." Chapter 1450. Even if you are not convinced, You have to be convinced. Everyone looked at the scene on the stage in disbelief. They saw that the flaming red-tailed seductive fox was extremely well-behaved and was listening to Yun Chujio's words as it made its move. Lai Yan's eyes were filled with disbelief. "Come, little fox, raise your claws to greet everyone." Tears were streaming down the flaming red-tailed seductive fox's face. It waved its claws at the people below the stage. Fuck, the fox had lost all its face. The people below the stage exploded. The people from the Tianyuan continent were so proud of themselves, they said arrogantly to the people from the Netherworld continent, "TSK, we, Yun Chujio, are indeed powerful." So what if she told a story? She successfully controlled Lai Yan's red-tailed seductive fox by telling a story. Are you convinced? Even if you're not convinced, you have to be convinced. The first place is ours. Ha! Not only does this round's victory belong to us, the first round's competition is 3-2. We won. The first round's victory is also ours. Winning first doesn't count as winning. Our refining and array formations are giving way to you. Otherwise, can you win? Tomorrow, in the second round of the spiritual energy competition, you will still lose. The people of the Netherworld continent felt as if their hearts were bleeding. Damn it, they were still rejoicing at this time yesterday. Why did their mood fall into hell in just one day? Yun Chujio. It was all caused by that smelly girl, Yun Chujio. She had obtained first place in all 3 rounds of the competition. Speaking of alchemy and talismans, we could still see some tricks. She won by relying on transcendent-grade elixirs and transcendent-grade talismans. It was just that this beast taming, how could she muddle-headedly tell such a stupid story? How could that damned flaming red-tailed fox Lai Yan? How could you not have heard a story for hundreds of years? How could you be so cheap? At this time, Li Han woke up. He saw that the flaming red-tailed seductive fox obediently listened to Yun Chujio's command. Immediately, he cried out in surprise, "Impossible! Impossible! Yun Chujio must have used a forbidden medicine. Otherwise, the flaming red-tailed seductive fox would not have been successfully controlled by Lai Yan." Li Han's words immediately aroused the resonance of the netherworld. Yes. Yun Chujio must have used some shady means. She must have used the beast to disperse it, or she must have used some other forbidden drug. Otherwise, how could she, a 5th-level spirit master, control a 24th-level demon beast successfully? This doesn't make sense. Yun Chujio must have cheated. Her grades don't count. Yun Chujio glanced at Li Han. "TSK, after you people from the Netherworld Academy lost, wouldn't the first thing you say is that the winner cheated? Previously, your Dean Sidhu had publicly apologized to me for saying that I cheated. Now you're saying that I cheated again. If the judge decides that I didn't cheat, shouldn't you kneel in front of me and apologize?" Yun Chujio, stop changing the topic. Not only do I suspect you of cheating, everyone else suspects you of cheating. It's impossible for you to successfully control the flaming red-tailed seductive fox. You must have cheated. Li Han said angrily. The hook-nosed judge immediately echoed, "That's right, I also suspect you of cheating." Yun Chujio snorted coldly, "You also suspect me of cheating? Just based on suspicion, you can spout nonsense? I even suspect that you're not human. Don't tell me that you're not human? How dare you?" Hawk-Nosed could not contain his anger. He actually wanted to hit Yun Chujio. The other 9 judges could not stand it anymore. The competition had turned into a farce. What kind of nonsense was this? One of the judges said, "Whether Yun Chujio cheated or not is actually very easy to judge. Just ask this flaming red-tailed seductive fox directly." Lai Yan's eyes were filled with anger. Chapter 1451. Was there anything wrong with her beauty? The spiritual power of these judges were all at the spiritual venerable level, so it was relatively easy for them to establish a spiritual connection with Lai Yan. After one of the judges established a spiritual connection with Lai Yan, he asked directly, "Did Yun Chujio use any illegal drugs to harm you?" The crowd only heard Lai Yan roar a few times, and then the judge looked like he was about to say something. Li Han immediately said loudly, The fiery red-tailed seductive fox must have admitted it, right? I already said that it was impossible for Yun Chujio to successfully control it. She must have used some unspeakable method. She is cheating. Her first place doesn't count. The people of the Netherworld continent also started to clamor, right? Yun Chujio must have cheated. Cancel her competition results. Let's compete again. Humph, is it exposed? I told you that you can control demonic beasts even by telling stories, unless the demonic beasts are crazy. If we compete again, the first place will definitely go to Li Han. Although the people of the Tianyuan continent were also fiercely arguing with them, they were not sure what Lai Yen had said. The judge was so shocked. Could it be that Yun Chujio really used some tricks? Just as everyone was guessing, the eagle-nosed judge asked the judge impatiently, "What did the fiery red-tailed fox say? Did Yun Chujio use the Lai Yen powder or some other forbidden item?" The judge said with a stiff face, "The fiery red-tailed fox said that it thought Yun Chujio was as beautiful as a fairy, and it was kind enough to tell it a story. It was willing to be controlled by Yun Chujio." What the hell was that? Now, the demon beast was judging people by their appearance? Was it kind enough to tell you a story? What? That's impossible. I don't believe it. The hawk-nosed judge said with a stomp. The judge said with an unhappy face, "Do you think I'm lying? Good. I'll prove it to you now. Lai Yan's red-tailed fox, is what I said true? If it's true, you can roar once. If what I said is false, you can roar twice." Lai Yan red-tailed fox roared impatiently. "These humans are really troublesome. Let's hurry up and let that little girl get first place. She has the nine-tailed fox's bone on her body. She has promised me that as long as she gets first place, she will give me the bone." It turned out that while Yun Chujio was telling the story, she had secretly taken out a very small nine-tailed fox's bone from her storage ring. As she was holding a drumstick in her hand, no one had noticed, however, the Lai Yen red-tailed fox had smelled the nine-tailed fox's scent. It was immediately overjoyed. If I had the nine-tailed fox's bone, it would be of great benefit to me. Immediately, the Lai Yen red-tailed fox established a spiritual connection with Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio told it that if she won first place, she would give it the small piece of the nine-tailed fox's bones. That was why it was willing to be manipulated by Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio curled her lips. "Did you all hear that? The little fox is willing to be controlled by me because of my beauty and kindness. Is it a mistake to be beautiful?" Everyone. Even though the aquiline nose and Li Han were extremely unwilling with the proof of the Lai Yen red-tailed fox, they were helpless. They could only let the host announce the results of the competition. In the beast taming competition, Tianyuan Academy's Yun Chujio wins. In the first stage of the competition, Tianyuan Academy won 3-2. Chapter 1452. Gold was going to shine sooner or later. The people of the Tianyuan continent immediately cheered. At this time yesterday, they still felt that their future was bleak. They did not expect to obtain the final victory today. This feeling was really great. Of course, they knew that all of this was because of one person, a little girl that they did not think much of, Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio walked to the side of the cage with a smile. "Tsk, little fox, it's rare for you to be so honest. I'll reward you with a roasted chicken." Lai Yen immediately kept the roasted chicken into her storage space. The little girl had told me that the bones of the nine-tailed fox were inside the belly of the roasted chicken. Only then did Yun Chujio terminate the temporary contract with Lai Yen and jumped off the stage. What greeted her was a tsunami of praise and gratitude. This fellow still pretended to be modest and said a few words. Then, she hopped back to the stands of the Tianyuan Academy. As the sky was already dark, the host announced that the second phase of the spirit power competition would be held on the second day. When everyone heard that, they all dispersed and returned to their respective stations to rest. Yun Chujio was now the focus of attention wherever she went. Those mighty figures had been perfunctory towards her in the morning, giving face to Di Linhan. But now, they were much more sincere. This little girl's talent in alchemy and talismans was top-notch, and her future was bound to be limitless. Befriending such an alchemist and talisman master would only bring benefits and no harm. In Sulian saw that Yun Chujio was being treated with such courtesy, and she was so angry that she gritted her teeth, her intestines turning green with regret. If she had not instigated Yun Chujio to participate in the alchemy competition, there would not have been any subsequent matters, and Yun Chujio would not have become famous so quickly. After dinner, Yun Chujio went to see Di Linhan. As the temple master of the Temple of Immortals, Di Linhan naturally had an imposing manner. Even in the wilderness, the place where he lived was very comfortable, and there were many hidden guards protecting him. After Yun Chujio saw Di Linhan, she rambled on about what had happened in the Misty Valley. Di Linhan was stunned when he heard that, and he sighed in his heart. Only a monster like little Jiao could still come out after falling into such a predicament. If it was any other person, they would have been played to death by the Qi Ling. However, if it was anyone else, they would not have offended the Qi Ling. You had almost made the underground spirit mushroom extinct. No wonder the Qi Ling in the Misty Valley was angry. You were too greedy. Just as Di Linhan was thinking about it, Yun Chujio took out a storage ring with a smile on her face. Uncle, I have some underground spirit mushrooms in this storage ring. You can take it back and stew the chicken to eat. The taste will definitely be very delicious. The corners of Di Linhan's eyes twitched violently. Stew the chicken? Earth spirit mushroom is such a precious spirit herb, and you want to use it to stew the chicken? Uncle, there are also some heaven-grade spirit herbs that the little skeleton took the initiative to give to me. Take it back and give it to my aunt. Yun Chujio added. Di Linhan was extremely satisfied in his heart. Where could he find such a daughter-in-law? She was smart and quick-witted, and most importantly, she had a long face. She had forcefully used her own strength to save the Tianyuan Academy, which had already lost to the edge of the cliff. Di Linhan instructed her with a pleasant expression on his face. It was nothing more than a good rest or something like that. After Yun Chujio thanked him, she hopped back to the Tianyuan Academy's headquarters. When Yun Chujio returned to the Tianyuan Academy's headquarters, she was naturally praised and flattered by everyone once again. Although this fellow appeared to be rather calm on the surface, he was actually overjoyed in his heart. Gold will shine sooner or later. From now on, I, Yun Chujio, will shine brilliantly in the Tianyuan continent. Chapter 1453. Sheng Envy's request. The Hades Academy's encampment was in stark contrast to the Tianyuan Academy's encampment. It was eerily silent. The originally good situation had been ruined by Yun Chujio alone. Not only had she lost the competition, but she had also embarrassed herself. It was simply a great humiliation. In Vice Palace Master Liu's tent, Si Tushar stood with his hands down. His forehead was covered in cold sweat, but he did not dare to wipe it off, afraid that Vice Palace Master Liu would blame him. Vice Palace Master Liu, this matter was supposed to be foolproof. I never thought that Yun Chujio would appear out of nowhere. Didn't you say that she died in the Misty Valley? Vice Palace Master Liu snorted. Foolproof? Is this what you meant by foolproof? Yun Chujio was just a little girl in her teens, and she actually destroyed your so-called plan by herself. Is she too smart or are you too stupid? This little girl is really too strange. I really didn't think that she had such a high talent in alchemy and talisman. As for beast taming, I didn't think that that damned flaming red-tailed seductive fox would be successfully controlled by her because of some kind of beauty or kindness. Lai Yen, don't worry. Don't worry, I promise you that we will definitely win tomorrow's spiritual power competition. There will definitely be no mistakes. Si Tushar said confidently. Humph. If we lose tomorrow's competition again, you know the consequences. Vice Palace Master Liu said darkly. Yes. I know. Si Tushar saw that this round had temporarily passed, so he took out a handkerchief to wipe the cold sweat on his forehead. At this time, there was a secret guard outside the big tent who asked to see him. Vice Palace Master Liu agreed and signaled for people to come in. After the secret guard came in, he saw Si Tushar hesitate for a moment. Vice Palace Master Liu said indifferently, "We're on the same side. It's fine. Tell me, what's the matter? Vice Palace Master Lu, the Saintess, received a voice transmission talisman and said that the person was not feeling well again. The Saintess said that she wanted to return to the Netherworld Hall ahead of time. The secret guard reported back to Xing V. Vice Palace Master Liu's face immediately darkened. Bitch. If it wasn't for I would have killed her and that wild man long ago. As the Saintess of the Netherworld Hall, she actually found a wild man on her own. She really has no sense of shame. Si Tushar deliberated for a moment before trying to persuade him. Vice Palace Master Lu, please calm down. They have always been under your control. They will obediently submit to you sooner or later. It's been 11 years. I still haven't managed to get any useful clues out of them. If that bitch still doesn't want to tell me, I will kill that wild man. The Saintess can also change to someone else. It's not that she has to do it, Vice Palace Master Lu said through gritted teeth. The bodyguard mustered up his courage and asked, Vice Palace Master Lu, then, does the Saintess agree to Xing V's request or not? Vice Palace Master Lu was silent for a moment. For the time being, we can't completely fall out with her. Tell that bitch that she will leave after the competition starts tomorrow. Yes. Seeing that the bodyguard had left, Si Tushar advised, Vice Palace Master Lu, please calm down. Let alone the Netherworld Hall, even the Tianyuan continent will be yours in the future. Why bother to lower yourself to that bitch's level? When Vice Palace Master Lu heard Si Tushi's words, his expression softened a little. We must not be careless in tomorrow's competition. We must win no matter what. Otherwise, we will lose both stages of the competition. It will really be a huge blow to our morale. Si Tushar immediately swore a promise. Don't worry. Tomorrow's competition will definitely be flawless. Our Netherworld Palace will definitely win. Chapter 1454. The second round of the competition began early the next morning. Everyone had already gathered under the competition stage. Compared to the 5 arts competition of the cultivators 2 days ago, they were more interested in today's spiritual power competition. A real battle was much more interesting than the 5 arts competition of the cultivators. Yun Chujio, this fellow, was not going to participate in the competition today. After all, she had already been in the limelight yesterday. Moreover, she had to give others a chance to show off, right? This fellow had a big heart. As he had chatted with Di Biming using the voice transmission talisman too late last night, he was yawning nonstop. Thus, he directly took out his all-purpose tent from the corner of the competition stage and lay down to sleep. In any case, the surroundings were filled with the students of the Tianyuan Academy, so he wasn't afraid of anyone scheming against him. The host quickly announced the rules of the competition. Today's competition is divided into 10 rounds. 2-on-2 battles. Both parties are not allowed to use external forces such as talismans, poison pills, formations, spirit pets, and so on. They can only rely on their movement techniques and spiritual energy to fight. If one side concedes or is forced off the stage, it will be judged as a loss. Now, the competition officially begins. Please welcome the 2 contestants who will participate in the first round. Tianyuan Academy had sent a male student named Zhan Yu. He was at the 7th level of the spiritual saint realm. Such a level of spiritual power was considered one of the best in Tianyuan Academy. However, when everyone saw Netherworld Academy's contestant, they all sucked in a breath of cold air. Their contestant was actually at the 3rd level of the spiritual venerable realm. The people of the Tianyuan continent were instantly in an uproar. 3rd level spirit paragon? How can a student have such a high level of spirit energy? Netherworld Academy is clearly cheating. That's right, our student is only at the 7th level of the spirit saint realm. How can he possibly defeat a 3rd level spirit paragon? Looks like we'll definitely lose this round. However, it's a good thing that Netherworld Academy can't send out all 3rd level spirit paragons. It doesn't matter if we lose one round. Dean Huangfu immediately protested. Dean Situ, the contestants on the stage are students of your Netherworld Academy? I'm afraid only instructors have such high spirit energy. right? Situ sure said with a fake smile, Dean Huangfu, I'm really sorry. Jia Long is really a student of our Netherworld Academy, and he has already been studying in our academy for 4 years. If I lie about this, he'll be struck by lightning and die a horrible death. Dean Huangfu saw that Situsher had already said so much, so he couldn't say anything more. Forget it, if worst comes to worst, he would just lose this round. After all, there were still 9 rounds left. Situsher was pleased in his heart. HMH, I have already planned this round for 4 years. Huangfu Zhongheng, the good show has just begun. I will return the humiliation I suffered yesterday to you today. Jia Long, who was on the stage, sized up Zhan Yu and curled his lips. Admit defeat. You're no match for me. Although Zhan Yu knew that his spiritual power was not as high as Jia Long's, it was impossible for him to retreat without a fight. He said coldly, whether it works or not, let's fight first. Take this. Zhan Yu took the lead and attacked Jia Long with his spiritual power. A fierce tiger materialized from spiritual power charged straight at Jia Long. Jia Long snorted coldly and formed a seal with his hands. A thick and strong spiritual power python pounced on Zhan Yu's spiritual power tiger. When everyone saw the spiritual power beasts of the two people, they knew that Zhan Yu was bound to lose. This was because Jia Long's spiritual power beast was much stronger than Zhan Yu's, regardless of its size or degree of condensation. Moreover, that spiritual power python's eyes were lively. It was obvious that it already had an initial intelligence. As expected, the spirit python bit off the spirit tiger's head with one bite, and the spirit tiger dissipated. Chapter 1455, Crushing Zhan Yu hurriedly released another spirit tiger, but it was still easily dispersed by the spirit python. Moreover, the spirit python had already pounced in front of Zhan Yu, and Zhan Yu dodged the attack of the spirit python. The two of them tangled together. In less than half an hour, Zhan Yu was completely at a disadvantage, being forced back repeatedly by Jia Long. Zhan Yu's body was already drenched in sweat. He knew that he would definitely lose this match. He was no match for Jia Long at all. At this moment, Jia Long's spirit energy python pounced towards Zhan Yu once again. Zhan Yu retreated and fell directly off the stage. Fortunately, his reaction was still in time. He fell to the ground and staggered a few times, so he wasn't injured. Zhan Yu walked in front of Dean Huangfu in shame. Dean, sorry. I lost. Dean Huangfu comforted him. It's okay. There's a big gap between you and that Jia Long's spiritual power. It's already good enough that you can hold on for so long. Don't blame yourself. Go back and rest. Zhan Yu was very touched when he heard that Dean Huangfu didn't blame him and even comforted him. He lowered his head and quietly returned to the stands. The students also comforted him. The difference in strength was obvious. It wasn't too shameful to lose. The host announced loudly, the first round of the spiritual power competition, the Netherworld Academy's Jia Long wins. The second round of the competition will now begin. After the host announced, the crowd realized that Jia Long had not left the stage. Instead, he continued to stay on the stage. The crowd was very puzzled. Why hadn't Jia Long left the stage? The crowd quickly understood the reason. That was because Jia Long said proudly, "Everyone, I'm really sorry. I feel that my physical strength is still okay, so I'm prepared to compete in a few more rounds. Therefore, I will still be representing the Netherworld Academy in the second round of the competition." The people of the Tianyuan continent immediately understood what was going on. The Nether Academy was too damn shameless. Were they planning to use Jia Long, this big killer weapon, to wipe out all of their competitors? If that was the case, wouldn't one of them be wiped out if they went up? The highest spiritual power of the students of the Tianyuan Academy was only at the 8th level of the Spirit Saint realm. They were not a match for Jia Long at all. Dean Huangfu was extremely angry. Situsher, what do you mean by this? Situsher said with a fake smile, what do you mean? It meant what you saw. Those who are capable will have to work hard. You, Yun Chujio, can participate in the pill refining, talisman, and beast taming competitions. So what if we, Jia Long, play a few more rounds? We haven't complained about you taking turns to fight. Even though Dean Huangfu was extremely angry, the rules did not forbid a person to participate in repeated battles. Even though he knew that this was Si Tushi's trick, he could do nothing about it. In the second round, Tian Yuan Academy's side was a Spirit Sect 7th level student. The result was obvious. In less than 15 minutes, Jiao Long kicked him off the stage. That student was immediately kicked until he vomited blood. He quickly consumed a hemostatic pill and meditated. Without a doubt, in the second round, Netherworld Academy won again. In the third round, it was still the same. Netherworld Academy won again. Dean Huangfu was extremely regretful that he had expelled Lan Luochen. If Lan Luochen was here, this Jiao Long would definitely not be his match. However, Lan Luochen had violated the rules of the academy and could only endure the pain of being expelled. Otherwise, he would not be able to convince the public. In the fourth round, Dean Huangfu had no choice but to send Yuan Wenhao, who had the highest level of spiritual power. Even so, Yuan Wenhao's 8th level of the Spirit Saint realm could not be compared to Jiao Long's 3rd level of the Spirit Paragon realm. A quarter of an hour later, Yuan Wenhao was bitten on the left shoulder by Jiao Long's spiritual python. Jiao Long revealed a sinister smile and jumped forward to seal Yuan Wenhao's spiritual power. He actually kicked Yuan Wenhao's leg. He forced Yuan Wenhao to kneel on the competition stage. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.